What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Insurrection Inc. podcast. We want to thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Okay, welcome to the Pro-Chinese Wuhan Border Security podcast. I'm your co-host, Peter. With us, we have Jay, Monty, Porter, and Tim. And yeah, all
Howdy,
right.
folks.
Ovo.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Damn it,
What
I'm
did
the
I
one
just
who's
tell you?
supposed to say
What
that.
did I
Fuck
just
you.
fucking tell you, Tim? Jesus fucking Christ. You're fired. Pack up your
You're
fucking desk
fired.
and leave.
Get out of here, shoo.
Okay, guys, well, it was a great time on the podcast. It's really sad that it
Yeah.
had to come that way.
All those 5 minutes you spoke over the last 10 episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what? Hey.
Stop being in Germany, retard.
Should probably do that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually you should. Stop being in Canada, Peter. Just
No.
leave. Just leave.
Yeah. Maybe
Anyway.
I will.
Anyway,
Just-
so our topic for today, I think we should, skip the small talk and start getting into that. And, I'm pretty damn sick of this fucking topic, but we gotta bring it up. And it's the fucking coronavirus.
I think some other people are sick of it too. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, they're sick in
Wow.
other ways.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Wow.
We are 2 minutes in, and I already hate this episode. Wow.
It's only going to
That's-
get worse. Don't worry.
That's a miracle. I'm drinking coffee this time. I'm not even drunk. Jeez, how to turns tables.
Unfortunate.
Now
Anyway,
you
yes.
have nothing to know the pain of us talking to you.
Don't worry. I have plenty of leftover booze. Later on, I'll drown out the pain.
Ah, good.
Yeah,
I wish you could give some to
technically-
me.
Technically, I could grab booze at any time right now, so if you just give it a go, Jay.
No, Tim, that's fine. You drunk,
Okay.
me drunk on the podcast is one thing. You drunk? No, we're not doing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
German
sorry.
drunk is a different animal.
Yeah, German drunk is like a lot more aggressive. He'll start swearing. He'll start doing, some stuff that's unsavory for YouTube, stuff like that.
All right,
He's gonna get me killed.
What every German does.
Gonna get me killed. Plain and simple.
Kind of, yeah.
Wait, wow, this one is going great. Coronavirus. So I gotta be honest, I'm amazed that this is still big news a month later. I was expecting this to already be out of the public eye, but now supermarkets don't have water or hand sanitizer on their shelves.
Yeah, one of the local grocery stores that sells, it's a Target actually. I don't know why I say grocery store. It sells everything. But hand sanitizer is $48 there right now.
Oh,
That's
wow.
price gouging. That's immoral. They shouldn't be doing that. Hurt the dirt.
We should
I don't know.
regulate
There's a
it.
pretty
We should
high
reg-
demand for it.
Yeah.
Price
Okay.
gouging laws are immoral, Jay.
Yes, they are.
Like,
But yeah, no. So, what's up, Tim?
I don't know how worse it is already in the US, but in Germany, people are already breaking into hospitals and medical facilities and stealing
Ooh.
this.
No, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah,
but I was in Walmart today, and there was just no rubbing alcohol. There was no hand sanitizer.
Here in Canada, people aren't taking it very seriously, which is something I think's all right. We've had our first case of community spreading today, which is like someone who's not an immigrant or from a foreign country getting infected, which is a little scary, but it's not something I'm too worried about because, again, we've been doing a pretty good job at keeping it pretty low. I believe we're at 26 cases countrywide, which is really small, except most of them are in my city, so that's not fun.
That is incredibly small. And over here too, I mean, it's old people dying from it.
Yeah.
And why we don't even know that they're exactly dying from it because these are people in nursing homes that they think they might have the coronavirus, and there's a lot of missed tests for it. So they think they have the coronavirus. So they just don't go into their rooms. They don't let any family come visit them. All of the staff is afraid to come into the rooms, and they're dying. So we don't even
Yeah.
exactly know the cause. We're just saying that these 11 people are dead from the coronavirus.
Huh.
So I
Yeah,
still
no-
don't believe that this is something, ooga booga, scary end of the world. We're all gonna get this scary flu.
Nah, literally here in Canada, apparently, like some of the cases of corona are like literally like the flu, and they have no other symptoms other than the flu, and people already recovered from it here.
Yeah.
It's extremely weird. Apparently, some people get like really sick from it. Other people don't get sick at all. It's a
Yeah.
very weird infection. But see,
Because
the
it
problem
matters.
is, it's
it
so
matters
easy
your
to
age and your health.
misdiagnose.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Your age and health.
Yeah, the
No, it's
problem
fair.
is that some people, and especially younger people, some of them won't even get like any symptoms or won't even feel it properly, and like the large majority, I think like 80% of general population will just have basically a flu, and
Yeah.
that's it. And like 16% will have like the condition of them is like more severe than the one of the 80%, and like 4% will have like septic shocks and stuff like that. So it's like 4% are actually in trouble of potentially dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is not a particularly deadly virus, but there's been this hype where look at this cruise ship where there's not even anybody infected on it, but there was one person infected on it before, and now they have a quarantine out in the middle of the ocean.
Is this the second cruise ship? Because there's that one in Japan.
Yes.
There was
There was a Diamond Princess, and then this one is another princess ship. And they have people quarantined in there. No one's been infected. There's a quarantine in their rooms on a ship.
That's
And-
not going to
Right.
be good. People are going to get infected. Like, even if one person was infected, it's on a tiny ship. Like, keeping people enclosed in a tiny place like that is just how you spread disease. Like, if one person was actually infected, probably a lot more people will get
No, because they're
infected.
quarantining them
It's on a-
in their rooms. Like, they're not allowed to leave their rooms.
Yeah, that's true. So then maybe people won't get infected. But the problem is placebo infections might occur. Like,
Oh,
do you guys
yeah,
know what
Munchausen's.
placebo infections are? Because,
Yeah, like-
you might get a small cold and think it's corona, and because of stress, it will tend to get a lot worse. So you'll have a placebo infection, and you might get misdiagnosed with corona.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah, for
Munchausen
sure.
syndrome.
Hmm.
But yeah, there is a heavy placebo effect to this because everybody is all hysterical over this thing. When 11 people in a country of 350 million people have died, and we don't even have a confirmed cause of death. I mean, this shit is as stupid as Ebola or swine flu to me.
The Ebola outbreak, like, I didn't even care about that. When that happened, I was like, oh yeah, it's all in Africa. I literally did not care. I barely care about this one. This one, I only care about it more because there's a bit more cases in Canada, especially because of a lot of the Iranians that came here. For some reason, a lot of Iranians have corona here in Canada. In fact, if I lived in Iran, I would kind of be more worried about it because their entire government failed to even do anything with corona.
Yeah, the problem
They have top
yeah.
officials infected, so
Yeah, the
in
thing
that
is,
country, it's a bit worse.
in Iran, there are like multiple hundreds confirmed deaths, like probably even more. But they're claiming that there are also like just a few thousand cases, confirmed cases. So technically, the death rate over there is like 20% or something. So things don't match up, you know. So technically, if you take the normal death rate, which is 2%, and you combine it and do some crazy math stuff, then there would be actually some like 10 times the amount of people over there who they claim are infected. So it's pretty much like just like fake numbers. It's like probably 10 times as much people are infected over there than they claim.
Yeah, it's full of fake numbers, and it's so fucking absurd. The people freaking out over this shit, and I just think that there's so much fishy, conspicuous, almost conspiratorial shit surrounding this, and not
Yeah, there are a lot of
conspiratorial.
people spreading conspiracies.
Yeah, but not conspiratorial. Like, oh, this was a bioweapon released from Wuhan for a reason. Like, I don't believe that. I really don't believe that it was released. I think that they're constantly trying to make every new disease the big scary disease, that this is going to be the one that gets everything. And every other time the markets haven't really responded, but this time they have. And we're also at the cusp of a recession. Like, it's been 12 years since the last one, and now you see the markets are crashing hard, and even the Fed cutting in the interest rate by 25%, twice of what they usually do, has not been able to slow this down or stop it.
Yeah, it's not even been the Fed. It's also been the Canadian Feds, European Feds are planning on
Yeah.
doing it. It's like a lot of different central banks that are planning on cutting all the interest rates. So I think you're right. There might be a recession around the corner, and it's all got kickstarted because of small fears of Corona. That was
No, I
enough
mean,
to probably take a shock.
But I
technically
think-
we are already in a recession.
Yeah.
Like at least.
Oh
a
yeah,
month
we
now.
are in one.
But I think
Yeah, we are not in a full-edged recession, so it's like not. It's just happened like I think the first time we are in recession again, like in Germany, is since 1 year. So you can't really speak of a recession yet.
But I think they're using this as a cover-up for the recession, so they take no blame for it. That this
That's
is just
exactly
something
what I
that
was about
happened
to
with the
say,
market.
Jay.
Yeah, exactly. The government never likes to blame itself for the recession. It always manages to blame some other factor that happened
And the
and say,
market.
"Oh yeah, this thing was like."
The market. Normally, it's the market, so they can justify more control.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, there was a recession coming anyway. They've been blowing up a bubble for 12 years. I don't know if this is going to be the big pop, but there's going to be a downturn. Stock prices are overflated. There's bound to be like some sort of big financial correction, and now they're just using coronavirus to, basically as a scapegoat to mask the real reason that they need stimulus, which is what they're blowing up in the economy right now just isn't sustainable, isn't stable. But then instead they can just blame it on coronavirus now and the supply chain interruption.
Yeah, that is the biggest. I think that's the biggest reason that they're pushing this so hard and trying to make this seem so much like a pandemic. Because also, there's some other things to it. Like, have you noticed the way that they're trying to reprogram people basically to change the way we interact with each other?
What do you mean?
They don't want you shaking people's hands anymore. They don't want you touching your face. And they don't want you handling money. Now, what does this coincide with? Well, governments have already been floating around the idea of a cashless society for a couple of months now. I think Australia is going to be the first one to go completely cashless.
Several years.
Several years, but like really recently it's become a huge push.
Yeah.
And Australia is going to be the first country to go cashless by the mid-2020s. Like they're going to phase out entirely.
There are already countries which are, I think, cashless. Like Sweden is already cashless.
Not entirely cashless.
Okay, yeah.
Like all physical legal tender in Australia is going to be taken out by the mid-2020s. And so,
now, what they can, aside from the huge civil liberties implications, what that means is that when central banks all across the world institute negative interest rates in the next recession, whenever that is, whether it's in just a few weeks now if it keeps getting worse, or when there's a really big bubble pop, that what's going to happen is that when there's still cash, lenders try to go into cash because then they can get at least a 0% return instead of a negative one, which means they have to pay to lend to people, literally. But if there's no cash, they can't do that. It's literally illegal for them to make an interest profit off of lending. And so it's really a tool for governments to control the monetary supply.
And then they're going to ban Bitcoin.
Oh, you can't. That toothpaste is out of the bottle.
Yeah, that's true. But they're going to try regulating all of that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because what Porter's saying is completely correct. Once they get full legal control of the economy, they're going to go for all counter currencies and make sure all of that is out of the question. So they could literally, and eventually they're going to try, probably there's going to be a big push to nationalize the banks and like get the banks all like to report everything to the government. So like they could literally tax you without even your consent. They would just automatically tax you.
As opposed to the taxations they've been taken with my consent.
Well, yes, but the taxation is going to be even worse because you can't even avoid it this time.
Yeah,
right. And there's an excellent speech that was the audio for it was reposted into Human Action podcast episode. It's a speech by Kevin Dowd at the last Austrian Economics Research Conference, where he talks about this negative interest rates thing that I'm talking about. And he goes into the civil liberties implications and also how it relates to the war on cash as well. And I think we should link that in the show notes because coronavirus, if anything, is only going to accelerate that trend.
Yeah, if you find that link for me after the show and send it, I'll throw it in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think that this is part of why they're pushing it is this reprogramming of our culture where we're going to become more accepting of a cashless society because people like the privacy of cash right now. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's one of our last semblances of privacy. If I have a fistful of cash, you have no idea what I'm spending this on. I am anonymous with this cash. So they want to phase that out. And if they're telling you like to stop handling cash and they're getting you really paranoid about a horrible, nasty infection that's going to kill 11 people in the United States that we don't even know, and they get you all scared about money changing hands, suddenly you become far more receptive to the idea of going completely digital with currency. So I think there's a lot more nefarious shit than just, oh, this bioweapons research lab released some weapon and it's going to kill the Earth. That's so science fiction to me. I mean, if this thing is here to kill the Earth, it's doing a horrible job at it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
really.
technically, we also have to consider that, like the Spanish flu and other illnesses started with a really low death rate, but they still managed to kill a lot of people because, first of all, they infected a lot of people, and second of all, there's still the possibility that the virus can mutate.
Yeah, but the regular flu kills 68,000 people a year. And they are all old, and super young. This is not new. But something like a Spanish flu happening again is so completely unlikely because you also have to take into account what were the hygiene standards of the countries that the Spanish flu destroyed.
I mean, it was also in Europe, so you also
Yeah,
have to
but
consider that.
back then it was not still the hygiene standards of Europe back in the early 1900s and also for America were not very high. And I'm not saying like government set hygiene. I mean the actual just regular hygiene standards. People living in close quarters. There was still not a lot of indoor plumbing. They were throwing their shit on the streets. It was not a sanitary country. The medicine was not developed well. It was we were in the infancy of a developed society with hygiene standards. It was the infancy. So it killed a lot of people, but people were not very healthy back then at all. I mean, back
Yeah,
then,
I mean-
typhus also killed you. And all this shit also killed you, that these diseases that don't kill you anymore, they don't affect you anymore, really, unless you are super old or super young. So I really don't think that this is going to be a virus that keeps mutating and kills all these people because people bring up China, but this is a country of 1.5 billion people where the majority of the country is not healthy. I mean, just even standard.
Yeah.
The smog is so bad. You're smoking 6 packs a day breathing in
Yeah.
that air.
It's also they're living so close by
Yeah.
of each other, like it's just way too crowded. And I mean, like 1920 was like a different time, but still though, I mean, it's coronavirus pretty much just spreads like the flu, and flu spreads quite easily. Also, what I want to say regarding centralized and nationalized banks, like another step is, for example, in Germany happening right now. Like whenever you buy something with cash, or like generally you buy something, even if it's just for like 20 cents, there's a mandatory voucher. Yeah. So you basically every corporation has to report everything now, and they need to have like a voucher for it to the central bank. So it's like another form of how central banks are like slowly taking more control.
That's crazy. Yeah, dude, it's crazy how far they're like taking the monetary system because at the end of the day, this is something a lot of more milquetoast libertarians don't realize. Currency is one of the bedrocks of freedom. And the more control that government has over the currency, the more control they have over you. And people just don't understand the implication of this and how severe it really is. Because when the government can track every single purchase you make, you have whatever privacy you had left is gone. It's absolutely gone. They can track you no matter what you do, no matter where you go, and you are reliant on them. I mean, look at China with social credit scores, where the government has so much control that if you have a bad social credit score, you can't even rent an apartment. And if you say something bad about the state, they make sure that you are screwed over until you publicly apologize and you re-educate yourself. So they're not even throwing you in a re-education camp. They're taking away all of your ability to live a normal life. They take that away until you comply with them. And if they don't like your apology, if they don't think you were sincere, they will continue to withhold that way of life from you. So people just really don't understand that the government having more control over the currency is probably even worse than them collecting your metadata.
Yeah, that's true.
Metadata. There we go. It's far worse. So it really is just this push for a cashless society where everything is digital and the government can just hyperinflate your currency without even having to turn on a fucking printing press. It's insane.
Yeah. I believe there's like a dystopian movie about that. For some reason, like while I was listening to you talk, it just sounds like the plot of like some kind of like a 90s movie about like some kind of dystopia where it's or like some conspiracy theory, even though it's coming true, like where the government had complete control of that. And like it's trying to come to name, but it sounds like there had to have been some kind of book or some kind of movie that was like a dystopia where the government had like that ability to know what each and every person does. Like that knowledge the states could have about you is just really bad.
Well, it sounds like a dystopian, but I can't name a single one, but it sounds like a dystopian movie because it basically is a dystopian movie. And I mean, I can think of some movies that correlate to like the panic that's happening right now with the coronavirus and all that. The one that comes to mind that I've heard a lot is Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone, where they have this society where you can't high-five people, you can't give them handshakes, you can't do any of that because they had like this disease that wiped out a lot of plants. So they have like this totalitarian government pushing like heavy hygiene control. And if you want to have sex, you put on like this headset that lets you virtualize sex and like have the orgasm through that. And it's an interesting movie. It's very comedic dystopian, but like
Yeah,
a lot of it
it's a
is
good
still just
comedy.
like scarily
Realistic, even though it's
yeah,
from the 90s, it's still like
Yeah.
mimicking what his society is today, especially with like restrictions on even freedom of speech and stuff.
yeah. Oh, that was one of them in a movie. That if you said a curse word, you got like a $50 fine immediately
got
there
a
on the
fine.
spot. There were computers listening to you, and it'd like print your ticket right there if you cursed.
Yikes.
Yeah, and it's just scary how much of this. Like, obviously, we're not going to be in that extent yet, where you have to put on a headset to have sex. But it's really this push for all of this crap. Brings us every day closer to a reality like that, where there's just no more freedom for us whatsoever, and you basically have to go live underground, like in the movie, to have any semblance of freedom.
Yeah.
It really is just it's very scary to think about, and that there's just this push. I can't get over the cashless society where the government just from your phone has every idea of what you bought, has control over how much money is in your bank. All that, it's fucking insane to me. And I mean, I don't mind cashless society if we're going to cryptocurrency where they have absolutely no control over it and nobody can go and hyperinflate and nobody can give you a bad social credit score and take away your bank account. But that is not at all what we're moving to.
Yeah, I know the government's trying to even take control of cryptocurrency, completely get it out. I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing politicians call for like massive penalties for cryptocurrency. Like you see people, or like they start saying that, oh, cryptocurrency is used by drug traffickers and stuff like this. They start doing massive scare
That's what's
tactics
been that's
to
what's been
scare
happening.
people. Yeah, that's already
I
been
had-
happening,
Yeah,
but
it's
to
already
a
going
bigger
on.
extent.
I had a money and banking professor that said that crypto is not real money and that it's used illicitly more than it's used regularly, which is completely untrue because the US dollar is used for more crime, more terrorism, and any of that in the entire world than any other available currency. The amount of Bitcoin that's used for illicit purposes is incredibly low. But they propagandize it so hard that people believe it.
Yeah.
That you go and tell them that, oh, you invest in Bitcoin, but that's what criminals use. No.
Yeah, I've
But
been
they
trying
want
to convince people to like see the good side of crypto, see like how good cryptocurrency could be, and again, like digital currency, like you said, it's really bad when the government has control about it, but decentralized the digital currency seems to be more of a way of the future if it's done right.
Yeah, because if you and I can have an interaction where there is this money that is not created by the government, and within seconds between our phones, I can give you money and we can make a purchase, that's great. But the fact is that they are afraid of that system, and they want to put in their own cashless system. I mean, you have banks trying to develop their own cryptocurrency now. And it's like, let that show you how scared they are of cryptocurrency and how scared they are of losing control of the money supply. If people were to start mass migrating over to alternative currencies, even if they were just go back to silver and gold, that fucking frightens them.
Yeah. I mean, there was also like a time, now it's not as bad as it used to be anymore, but in some areas, for example, Soviet Union, gold was prohibited to own because they were aware of how gold and other metals could hurt their centralized planned economy and also centralized banking system, or what you want to call it.
Over here, FDR outlawed owning gold during World War II, and it wasn't lifted until the Bretton Woods was lifted in 1971.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's Hoppe also did a really good speech about it regarding how basically money started to exist and how it slowly became centralized, and that centralization meant that the government just seized more power through it because they just take control over the currency and just take control over what they call the money supply, and then they basically have all the power.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we basically moved. Money just used to be like a good, which everybody could agree on was traded and basically used, and also had some worth. And what we are currently basically witnessing is just that banks are printing money and more money, and it's not worth anything. So that's basically against the definition of what money should be.
Yeah, because money was originally a commodity currency.
Yeah.
It had some backing in the market. There was something that it was representing, and we've completely moved away from the commodity portion of it. Which, I mean,
like I don't think there is any real country that doesn't have fiat currency anymore.
Not a single one.
Not a single one. Yeah, I believe Switzerland was the last countries to go. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why the United States killed Gaddafi. It even got released by the Pentagon that real reasons was he wanted to create a Pan-African gold standard, so he had to go. You can't get off the petrodollar, you silly person. You try to do that, we're going to have your people sodomize you with bayonets.
If you trade oil in US dollars, you get US bombs. If you trade oil and something other than US dollars, you also get US bombs. It's just the method of delivery is different.
It's a more direct delivery in the latter. No, but it really is insane, like how people have accepted even like that we have a currency that is fucking meaningless, and that people love conveniency, so they love that they can just pay for something without even pulling out their wallet. They can just take out their phone and scan it against a reader, and then there's your money. But what fucking money is it? It's even more imaginary than a bill, because at least a bill it's like worth a couple of cents if you wanted to sell the paper.
And it's still like a piece of paper. It says something.
You can actually own it.
It has like meaning, but to like a lot of older people, especially, like I talk to a lot older people, and they're like, what is the meaning of digital currency? They don't see. Like, I wish more people would see it like these older people. Like, they don't see any meaning in a number in a bank account, because that's not real. It's literally just zeros and ones on a computer. How is that actually? Like, Bitcoin is like that, but is still like physical currency is so much better for having like an actual meaning if it's backed by something.
It's also the reason why like a lot of old people and elderly people have like a lot of cash money at home, because you can actually own it. And also from maybe our point of view, our libertarian point of view, it's also at least better to have cash money because the government can't really track what you're doing with the cash. Yeah. Even though I think Jay already mentioned that.
Yeah, I did. What's up, Porter?
And we could probably do a whole episode on whether Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies satisfy the regression theorem, which is what you were talking about, like how money originally was a commodity.
They don't satisfy. We can answer that real quick. They don't satisfy the regression theorem, but the regression theorem, as much as I love Mises' work, the regression theorem is not perfect, and it ignores the evolution of economies and how money itself has evolved, and that cryptocurrency is now a step in evolution for the better. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. That's a discussion.
Yeah,
for another day, but
we definitely have
is
to
an
write that one
interesting
down actually. But
Yeah, there's an interesting article on the actual Mises Institute regarding regression theorem by, I believe, I think Walter Block and
Block's
Laura
yeah.
Davidson. I
that
think?
sounds right. Yep.
Yeah, there was an interesting one about that. Maybe we could even link that in the if anyone wants to read about it.
if you could find
Sure,
that
yeah.
also, then.
Yeah.
But no, I think like it doesn't need to satisfy the Misesian regression theorem because we are in a new step towards the right direction. Because crypto has things that, even though you can hold it, it will satisfy almost every other definition of money. It really will. Because one of the things is every cryptocurrency is scarce. It's programmed into the basic blockchain that the miners one day will find the last coin of whatever blockchain it is. So there is scarcity. You can replicate it. It's fungible. Some of them. Not every crypto is fungible. I can't really give you an entire Bitcoin because that's pretty hard to even come by.
Ooh, yeah. Nowadays, an entire Bitcoin, it's like what? $10,000? Probably more.
I think right now it's floating around 9,000.
Yeah, no, it's
9,000. So it's about right.
Yeah.
It'll be different by the time we put this episode out.
Probably, yeah.
Did you guys ever?
It's stabilized though.
It's basically jumping between 8K and 10K right now for a pretty long time now. And either it will like crash again to like 2 or 3K, or it will like go up to 4K.
It's not going down to 2 or 3K again.
Yeah, maybe like 4K or 5K, but
I think
it will actually go up to 14K or even more.
I think 6K is the new lower barrier for Bitcoin because it has been roughly a year since it was even at 4K. And after it hit 5K, it never went below that again, even though it jumped up to 13K by the end of last year. And then it crashed down to 6.7, and it has not gone below 6.5 since then.
In 2018, it had like its massive. That's when like everyone jumped on the trend train, but then it like crashed after. Like it wasn't trendy anymore.
Did I tell my story with that? Did I ever tell my story about that?
Oh no.
Yeah. So I actually saw the crash happen real time for Bitcoin because it was my first semester at college, and it happened like towards December 2017, and I was in a library studying for finals, and you could not go 5 feet without hearing people talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Everybody was in on the train because it was so high up. Everybody was looking to make their last buck. I had a buddy who was trying to push Red Bull onto me, and I was like, this shit is centralized. This goes against like every principle of cryptocurrency, because I had already been looking into it for a few months because I was getting into my libertarian phase. And so I was into it. I just didn't have a way to buy it, and I'm glad I didn't. But by the end of 2017, I was like, I saw all these people talking about it, and I was like, I'm going to wait a little bit to buy into it. This is way too much. And then after the crash, I went back to the library like 2 weeks later after winter break. I did not hear a single person since then in the last 3.5 years talking about cryptocurrency again.
Yeah, it's
not like, trendy anymore.
If you address the topic like in a just like random or general discussion with normal people, let's say, you will get some weird looks because they like Bitcoin. Why are you still talking about it? It was like 2017 stuff. Why are you still talking about it? It's irrelevant now. It
was a flash in the pan for them because everybody wanted to get rich quick, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
People are so stupid. Buy high, sell low. The classic. The classic strategy.
Things just go on crazy trends. It's like,
and people they really don't understand that I buy cryptocurrency not to make money, but because I legitimately think this is the future of currency. They give me like this glossed over look when I tell them that, because they're like, but they just don't comprehend. They cannot comprehend a government not printing currency and them not using a government printed currency.
I mean, that's what you learn in like your government class that you have to mandatory. At least here in Canada, we had a civics class, and then like the one thing we learned about money is like, oh yeah, the government prints money and stuff.
Yeah, but it's these people, they just can't even imagine a world where currency is not printed publicly. And I feel sorry for them. because when the dollar crashes, I'll be ahead of the curve and they won't.
I
'Cause
mean, it's gonna be interesting if the dollar crashes because I mean, I think like a lot
What's
of people
gonna
here own
replace
Bitcoin.
it?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's like what happened, for example, in Germany when the currency crashed. It's pretty common sense. You will just go back to a commodity, to like a good, which you will which society kind of agrees on to just trade as a currency. For
Yeah.
example, after
Mm.
World War II, it was like cigarettes mainly,
Mhm.
because they had some worth at least. And during the Weimar Republic, when the currency basically crashed, it was also gold and silver.
Mhm.
Like the people who owned gold and silver then, but also like other metals and stuff, they were pretty much rich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, imagine if the dollar crashes tomorrow, what even a quarter of a Bitcoin will be worth. Like, that
Yeah.
shit would skyrocket.
Yeah, it
No.
probably would. Like, even if cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin or something would end up like raising in value because people are like, oh yeah, we have to get on this. And
Yeah.
now, and like, there will just be so many people on it. And like, I bet
Yeah, so-
Bitcoin would end up being mined dry by like the next month or so.
Oh yeah. So yeah, if you want to get ahead of the curve, buy any amount of cryptocurrency, you're gonna be set. But not everybody will do it because not everybody has the foresight that some other people might have. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
even
there are
want
like also a lot of other ways to prepare. Like you can buy
Oh, yeah.
gold and silver and stuff, but
Hey, that's also
think
that's a very
crypto-
good option.
yeah, but I think like the problem, for example, in Germany is I think our parliament wanted to pass a bill that you have to that you have to actually tell the government that if you buy gold and silver, that you own it. So probably if something happens, they will just come to your house and seize it because they have a
Yeah.
database where your name is written that you own gold and silver.
Yeah, so
Wasn't
crypto might be a little more valuable there. Support.
Yeah.
In the United States, wasn't it FDR who confiscated gold at one point?
Yep.
Like, but
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
we
saying
said that
illegal to
earlier
own
in the
gold.
podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you jump back in right as I was saying, like
And
it
Sorry,
was
I was
illegal
out
to
for a
hold
moment,
gold
yeah.
until Bretton Woods ended.
I think,
Mhm.
guys, we are like, I mean, we should probably just do an episode on like currency generally. I don't know if we want to continue this or move on to another topic.
Well, we're running a little low on time here. We've been going for almost 40 minutes now, so unless we have like a
this
short
is
topic
a
we can
shorter
get out.
episode.
Yeah, like you've got a
Okay,
short topic you want to get out
yeah,
there.
I
we
get
can
a short
that-
topic. I am, cat boys and groypers.
Here we go again.
Oh boy.
Cat boys and groypers. So what is the connection? Why did Nick Fuentes date a cat boy?
Because he is I'm gonna have to censor this one out. He's a so
Yeah,
Oh my god.
You can't say that.
that's why it's getting censored.
I agree. He dates cat boys because like it's just something wrong with his brain. It's Nick Fuentes. What do you expect? His brain is wrong.
I mean, he's doing the virgin walk all the time, so it's
Yeah,
understandable.
exactly. He's a virgin, so he has to go to the lowest common denominator. Next,
think
you're
Hitler
gonna see
liked
he's
cat
gonna
boys?
date fat woman. He's gonna date the fat black lady.
No, do you
That's
think
gonna
Hitler
be his
liked
next
cat
wife.
boys? I think Hitler liked cat boys.
I think
like
he would have
them,
too.
yeah. He would also like love traps and stuff. I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
sure.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
Hitler
no, he would
totally-
love like
totally-
the transgender stockings.
Hitler in the thigh high femboy stockings. Oh my god,
Yes, that's what
Oh,
be
that's
his
going-
outfit.
that's going into Spank Bank.
Yeah, I've seen him wear like. Isn't there like this picture of him wearing like knee-high socks that
Yeah.
wasn't photoshopped? Like,
Yeah, but that's because that was just like the fashion back then.
yeah, that's true. But Hitler would have loved them.
Okay,
Hitler would-
man,
Hitler would love
different
them, so I think
topic.
that's.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
act like
of
you weren't
course
the one who
Tim
got
is
us
talking
into
about it
this.
because he doesn't want his government coming to kill him. Every time you mention the H word, the government just comes by and murders you.
Hitler was a progressive hero, guys.
I mean, the problem is I probably like all of you saw this photo of how you should greet people since coronavirus is spreading. With,
the
like,
Roman salute, yeah.
the Roman salute, and I can't do it. So I'm basically forced to get the virus because I'm not allowed to do it here. I can't greet
Aw.
people like that. It's forbidden.
That's a thought.
Coming full circle.
So that's the reason why Germany will die, probably because of the coronavirus. Because we're not able to do the Roman salute.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's
you
illegal.
could always put your fist up in the air like a black communist.
Yeah, just,
Conquer, brother.
oh yeah, make sure you put your thumb inside of your fingers when you do it. Like, don't make it look like an actual fist. Put your thumb inside of the fingers, because having your fist actually made is offensive. You
Yeah,
gotta put your thumb inside the fingers.
That's a lethal weapon. That's gonna get you arrested in Germany. You can't do that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Anyway, so I think that's a pretty good place to wrap up. If anybody has rubbing alcohol, like if anybody knows rubbing alcohol sanitizer, sell that shit secondhand and make some cash and buy some crypto.
I
That's
think
my
I
advice.
should. Like, I have a lot of rubbing alcohol in my basement from Costco, so I think
Yeah.
that'd be good.
I mean, if you want to be an agorist, just go ahead. Yeah, just create your own moonshine and stuff and sell it. That's the best way to earn
Yeah,
decent.
exactly. Like, dig through people's garbage, look for rubbing alcohol containers, and just like pour your moonshine in it.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone has a basement, so it's working. I guess.
I don't have a basement. There's no basements in
Oh,
South
okay.
Florida.
Yeah, I mean, like in Europe, there, like I think like every house
We're
has a
like
basement,
7
basically.
feet underwater level here. We're not we don't have basements.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many basements in Germany because we used to get bombed a lot. So we're used to that.
I wonder why you guys got bombed a lot.
Oh yeah, always the
Hmm.
victims, huh, Tim?
I'm sure it's because of the mud floods.
Sorry,
I'm sure
Porter,
it's because
I
of
heard
the
you say.
Zion. What?
No, go ahead.
I don't think I don't think Tim can actually finish that sentence. He might have got
Yeah,
arrested.
I'm not allowed to. I can't do that.
All right, Porter, you had something to add?
Well, yeah, Jay, you mentioned kind of wrapping up, coming full circle. The last thing I wanted to add is this whole episode has basically been about the various ways that governments grow their power,
Mhm.
and especially in times of crisis. I mean, they use crises to justify it. Otherwise, well, all expansions are unjust when it comes to their power, but they use crises to justify things that not even the general populace would accept in any other conditions. And there was an article, I think it was published yesterday. I read it yesterday by a guy named JD Tuccilli, and we can link that in the show notes page as well. And
Why not one chili?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Get him on the show, ask him that one question, kick him off.
He'd probably come on. He seems like a pretty cool guy. He wrote an article for Reason called "The Coronavirus Will Be Deadly to Your Liberty," and he just talks about the various things that are being proposed right now. And I'm not going to go in detail because we already talked about most of them. But one thing he references in there is "Crisis and Leviathan," the book by Robert Higgs, the economic historian.
Mhm.
And that whole book is about how governments use crises like these to grow their power, and it's a permanent expansion, not a temporary one. It's something he calls the ratchet effect in the book, and Tuccilli talks about this in the article. He briefly goes over it, and it's where government power increases, but you can't ratchet it back. It only goes one direction. It's like, so after World War II, the emergency powers of the presidency became permanent emergency powers. After 9/11, the Patriot Act powers became permanent surveillance powers. We have a permanent surveillance state now, even though the ostensible threat of terrorism has greatly subsided. And so the coronavirus, COVID-19, basically provides another opportunity for that. When you give governments the power to emergency shut down borders, stop all commerce at their will, and mass test people, this is probably how we're going to get mandatory vaccines. If they make a vaccine for the coronavirus, do you honestly think they're just gonna let people not get it if they choose not to? I definitely think it's gonna be mandatory, no doubt.
Some governments were already planning on making it mandatory. I've heard. I forget. My mother actually told me about it, but I forget. Like, I think it was somebody in the Canadian government as well as the Australian government who was talking about getting ready to make mandatory vaccines.
Right, and the whole point is that it only works if you let them do it. They,
Yeah.
it's I hate to say it comes from our consent, but in a certain like twisted and backwards way,
Mhm.
it almost does, because it only happens because they know their citizens are willing to let them do these things because of things like fear and paranoia and things like that. So you have to keep yourself informed and keep yourself prepared for any actual disaster. And don't trust your all-powerful overlords whenever they say they're going to do something that requires more power, but it's for your own good. It
Yeah.
never is.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's where we can wrap up because that's what we've been
Yeah,
talking about
so,
this whole
yeah.
time.
Yeah, we'll put show notes for that. I'd
want to
also.
add something.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
Just one thing. You can also, like, at any time recommend topics we should discuss. I think we would all appreciate that because
Yeah.
normally
Oh, yeah,
we
for
search topics and then find them on our own. But I think there are like a lot of, probably if there are like more people thinking about ideas or topics we should talk about, I think there will be a lot more better ideas. So
Yeah, if any followers want to DM us topics, go ahead. And also, I would recommend a podcast called the Drive Time News Blast with Monica Perez and Brad Binkley. Monica Perez has been on Free Man Beyond the Wall a few times. And if they've been covering the coronavirus a lot, and if you want to see it with a more conspiratorial eye like I have, I've gotten a lot of my details, my thoughts about it from them because they've made some very good points about like the connotations of this whole thing and where this is leading. So I really recommend checking them out. They're like 30-minute episodes. They are great, and it will get you seeing this in a way that is not, oh, this was released on purpose. No, that this is a perfect storm being used to push for power. So, yeah. With that, Peter, you want to take the short bus back to the station?
Yeah, sir. Closing it off. Remember, if the government ever comes asking you for help, or no, if somebody
You
from
already
the
fucked it
government
up.
ever
Wow,
comes
fucked up the Reagan
saying that they're here to help, don't answer them because
All right.
they're not here to help.
The Reagan-
probably
the
one of
Reagan
the
quote
scariest
is-
things.
The Reagan quote
You
is
managed to butcher the easiest
Yeah.
Reagan quote in existence.
it's that the scariest words in the English language are "I'm from the government and I'm here to help you."
Yes, I butchered the quote. That's the whole
Horribly
point.
butchered it.
That's
the only good
how
quote
we're
from
supposed to
Reagan.
quote it.
The only good quote from Reagan, and you butchered it. All right, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Links are going to be in the show notes page, plugs too. So catch you guys later.